Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to another edition of the Filmmakers Forum. Thank you all very much for joining us, and thank you for being so punctual. Let me welcome our guests, Tofumi Akinsheye, Victoria Oga, and Michael Dale Williams. Thank you all very much for joining us, for being with us today. The Filmmakers Forum is organized by the Nollywood Studies Centre. The Nollywood Studies Centre is of the School of Media and Communication of the Pan-Atlantic University. It's intended to be a platform to facilitate engagement amongst people of the industry, as well as engagement between those of the industry and the audience in general. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box as we go along, and we'll take them from there. So once again, I welcome you all. Let me welcome in particular our guests, Tofumi Akinsheye. Tofumi Akinsheye is a media and communications professional with expertise in publishing, public relations, and entertainment marketing. She is the founder and publisher of Savvy Magazine and the founder of Savvy Media Africa, a communications and media company focused on storytelling, brand positioning, and audience engagement within the African creative industry. Through Savvy Magazine, Tofumi has produced multiple editions highlighting both established and emergent voices within the creative industry, contributing to the visibility of African professionals across global audiences. In her work in public relations, she has led campaigns for major international film projects, including Black Panther and Avatar, and has worked with brands such as MTN and Film House Cinemas, supporting audience engagement and market positioning within the Nigerian entertainment space. Beyond her professional work, Tofumi has facilitated training programs in collaboration with organizations such as Google and Facebook, supporting the development of young creatives and media professionals. Her contribution to the field of media and communications has earned her recognition, including PR Personality of the Year at the African Women Awards 2023. And in 2024, she was named as one of the UN's most influential people of African descent in the media and culture category. Through her work, Tofumi supports storytelling, audience development, and the visibility of African creatives within the global media landscape. Tofumi, you are most welcome. Thank you once again for being with us. If I may please ask you to put on your video. I'll ask our guests to please put on their videos so that we can all see them. Right. Thank you. So you're welcome, Tofumi. Oh, great. Sorry, you're muted.
Thank you, Ekuchuku. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Lovely
Now
to
I hear
hear.
you.
I'm
Thank
very well,
you.
thank you.
Our other guest is Victoria Oga. Victoria is the head of distribution at Film One Entertainment. She has over 8 years of experience across film programming, content strategy, acquisition, and theatrical distribution in the West African market. In her role, she oversees film selection, release strategy, and market positioning, working across both Nollywood and international titles. She has supervised the distribution of over 1,000 films in the region, including major box office successes such as Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Funke Akindele's A Tribe Called Judah, both of which exceeded $1 billion, I'm sorry, in theatrical revenue. Victoria's expertise spans the full distribution value chain from content development and acquisition to marketing and exhibition strategy, supporting studios and producers in achieving commercial success in the cinema market. Victoria, you are very welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I think something is wrong. I see your background, but I don't see your face.
Oh, do not sit down. I saw that out now.
Okay, great. Welcome, Victoria. Thank you for joining us. Our third guest, who I don't think is here yet, but I think he will join us shortly. But our third guest is Michael Dale Williams. Michael is an entrepreneur, marketing consultant, and senior executive with over 30 years of experience in brand strategy, marketing communications, and organizational leadership. He is currently the general manager of Ebony Life Place, a multi-purpose leisure and culture destination in Victoria Island, Lagos, comprising a boutique hotel, restaurant, a 5-screen cinema, and event spaces. In this role, he oversees operations and positioning for one of Nigeria's leading lifestyle and entertainment hubs. He also partners with Ace Hospitality in the management of Landmark Hotel and Beach Resort Oniro. Previously, Michael served as managing director of the Cross River Tourism Bureau from 2010 to 2015, where he led tourism development initiatives and major cultural events. He is the author of the Amazon #1 best-selling book, The More 3 Formula, focused on customer service and business growth. And he writes the blog From Kingston to Calabar, An Unexpected Journey, reflecting on leadership, culture, and enterprise. Well, Michael is not here yet, but I would say welcome to him, okay, in advance for when he does join us. Great, so welcome once again to our audience. Our topic today is on film marketing and audience development in Nollywood. Anyone who has been following the news in the last weeks will have seen that this has been very much a hot topic, the issue of film marketing. And it has come up also in previous editions of the Filmmakers Forum, emphasizing the importance, but we have always looked at it as a bit of an addendum to what the main topic at the time was. So now we want to focus on film marketing. The importance of it cannot be overemphasized, really. And it's something that, yes, a lot could be said about, and we trust into our expert panel to guide us through this conversation. Let's begin with some definitions. And I'm going to ask our guests. Oh dear, it looks like we have lost both of our guests. I think the network is playing us games today. Okay, we'll give them a bit of time to come back. Okay, right. Victoria is here now, so we can get going. So, Victoria, let me start with you with this question. We want to get some definitions. We talk so much about film marketing, but what exactly is it? Marketing, we know, plays a key role in the distribution of any product. But what would you say are the peculiarities of film marketing?
Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. My
Morning, Victoria.
apologies. Yeah, I'm not sure why my camera is doing this to me, but so I'm going to have to change devices in the next 10
Okay,
minutes.
no
Yes,
trouble at all. Thank you. No
I
trouble.
feel like people could see my face. Yeah, so in
Okay.
regards to your question, when it comes to marketing, I think marketing is very pivotal when it comes to anything in this world, be it to the market seller down the street, be it to anything you can think of. Marketing is very important. And then we can then now bring that to the business of film. Every film is treated as a product. So for your product to get to the final consumer, there needs to be some sort of marketing around it. And you can also call that positioning. Without
Right.
all of these things, it will just be that I have an idea, and the idea is only incubated and seen by me and my friends, because I have just been able to tell my friends that I made a film, but I haven't told the market that I have a film. So marketing is very key to everything when it comes to product selling, product strategy and positioning, and even just brand awareness. It's important that you cannot have a product and you do not market it. How much more you have a film? A film is supposed to be an idea conceptualized and then brought forward into a picture. So you want people to see that vision, you want people to connect into it, and you want people to even be aware that this thing is ready for consumption. So it only makes sense to be able to get marketing strategies laid down and even have like a calendar or a guideline towards you making sure that you are seen and heard. And It's not cheap. We all know that. But if you wanted to do something, it's advisable that you do it well. So marketing is very pivotal. Like there is no way around it where you are not marketing your product. Whether you are selling bio, there is somebody else that is making bio. So you have to, it is in the marketing that you can then now tell people that my bio is different from yours, or my bio is the best. And that's marketing. Marketing does that for you. So you cannot shy away from marketing, regardless of what it is. And then imagine that it's now a film. A film is that I have to take you into my world and I want you to connect with it. I know many times we watch movies and somehow you are agreeing with the character and sometimes you are not. So that's the journey of it. You want people to be immersed in that world where they basically align with the character or they do not. So marketing is what helps you achieve that. You can agree with the story and you may not agree because it's not in your lenses. Sometimes some people watch movies and they want to talk about the technical ability of the film, and that's what concerns them. They're not really about the whether it has happened before or not. It is how was this film shot? What are the technical angles? Who was the DOP? Who is also the sound guy? Like people look out for things like that. Who is the director of the film? Some other people watch movies for pleasure. What is showing in the cinema or on the streaming platform, what's showing, and then depending on how you'll be able to market the film based off poster, trailer, skits like we do in Nollywood recently or these days. Depending on how you'll be able to tell people about the film, then that would then enhance people to either agree to see the film or not. The most important thing is they have watched the film. Now, did they enjoy it? You will find out from reviews, but they have seen the film. So that's my feedback on marketing. It cannot be overemphasized. It's important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Victoria. I saw Tofumi nodding throughout while you were talking. So Tofumi, let me turn to you. Victoria, I think, has said a lot, but for you, are there other peculiarities of marketing, not just marketing now, but marketing for film that you would like to emphasize? Sorry, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think for me, I would just like to, go to the basics and the foundation. How did we even get here to start with in terms of how we market? We now market movies in Nollywood. The West African box office for the first time in 2025 outsold Hollywood. I mean, Nollywood outsold Hollywood in the box office. And it didn't happen by accident, actually. It happened because of the way films are now being marketed and not just about how much you spent on the movie. Now, if we now dig deeper into the numbers, we begin to also see other nuance playing around the marketing mix, which is about pricing. We also see pricing playing a huge part. For example, in 2023, when A Tribe Called Judah was released, it made about 1.4 billion in ticket sales, with about 216,000 seats sold at a cost of 6,500 ticket fee. In 2020, we had Mogetto the Saga, yeah, that did over 600 million ticket sales, add more people, more seats, over 300,000 seats at a 2,000 naira ticket fee. So we see that pricing has also become a part of the marketing mix, right? Then if we now move forward to some of the movies that have been released for the last 2-3 years, we look at Everybody Loves Jennifer. They did about 1 billion in 19 days. We also look at the massive recent success for the movie BTS Behind the Scene. The it was massive in terms of it's the highest grossing movie in Nollywood at this time. We see some things playing out, some common factors playing out in those movies. Another interesting movie for me would be Ginger, where we had Kiki. We had four powerful women come together to produce a movie because they understand the impact of their numbers, the impact of their fan bases, and how it translates to movie success, and how people like Funke Akindele have already set the pace. So people now have the blueprints, and taking smarter steps, to ensuring success. And they made over 500 million in the box office. But it's also important to note that all these numbers did not just appear. And these guys did not wait until the opening weekend. They've been marketing their movies right before the movie came out. Different content strategies, different marketing ideas, so they now understand the shift in how we now market movies, and we're seeing the blueprints all over. Again, I think one important aspect, Victoria had mentioned it, is the fact that movies need to be seen as a product. And in marketing, there are the 4 P's of marketing. You have the product, you have the price, you have the place, and you have promotion. And the reason why Funke is doing so well is because there's a beautiful balancing act between the product, the price, the promotion, and the plays. So for the product, for example, good story, good plot, star power, in terms of the casting, and she's built this franchise loyalty over a period of time. So in terms of product, solid story, great quality, in terms of the outputs. Then if you look at the plays, how does she distribute? She's doing a beautiful job partnering with Film One Entertainment for our distribution, right? And then if we look at the promotions as well, she's doing amazing with the promotion. So she has been able to like beautifully balance all of this marketing mix. And most importantly, she makes use of a 360-degree promotional approach to how our movies, and we can see other smart producers also, copying the blueprint.
Thank you. Let me take you up on what you just said. I mean, maybe you can give us a bit more of an insight. When you say the 360 degrees, for we lay people, what exactly does that refer to?
Okay, so this is what like the entire marketing strategy. So, for example, I will speak specifically to movie promotions and just try to apply that strategy to how movies are being marketed now. So you have the preface. The preface, for example, is before the movie goes to the cinema. All the pre-content releases, the distribution of the trailer of the movie, the cast reveal, all of this different promotions happening before the release of the movie. Now, leading to the release of the movie, which most times, are premiered, then another strategy comes to play. You begin to see beautiful things around the premiere. You begin to see beautiful invite boxes being sent, to influencers and to influential voices. You begin to see lovely curated boxes, merchandises, and all of that, still leading to the premiere. Now, when the premiere is done, most times we see that a lot of movies then lose that spark. But you see people like Funke Akindele, Kiki, and the rest of them still sustaining the movie. That's when we get to the sustenance phase, to ensure that even after all of the noise and the hype, before the release of the movie, even after the release of the movie, you're sustaining the movie through what people are saying about the movie, through other interesting content strategy and ideas, content pillars, content formats, and partnerships here and there with influencers and all of that. So it's in stages, and it's just you making use of the full spectrum of your digital strategy, from your blog post to your movies being amplified on major platforms, to partnerships with niche media platforms like the Nollywire, Shokenji, and the rest of them, to also being able to partner with macro influencers, kit makers who can push the movie, for you. And then also having a beautiful premiere, having a beautiful lineup of media platforms during the premiere, and then after the premiere, you also sustain the conversation. And I remember recently, Foke Akindele did a post and said people are telling her, "Oh, you have hit the 1 billion. Why are you still making noise?" And she's like, "I can't stop, because if I make noise today, someone who hasn't watched the movie can decide to go watch it tomorrow. So it never ends. So don't disappear just after the opening weekend. You have to continue and just ensure that you're using the full spectrum of your marketing strategy online."
Fantastic. That really is a 360. Let me come back to you, Victoria. I'm happy that we can now see you. Victoria, great. Now, I like I like the word you used when you were talking earlier. You said positioning, okay, that we have to tell the market to take the people into the world of the filmmaker. However, I was wondering, when you said that, the taking of people into the world really comes with having watched the film itself. So, in planning a campaign, before a person has really seen the film, what is done to really take people already into that world to attract them? What are the key things that you say yes can be done? You say, let me now bring you into the world to make you see the film and really enter, immerse yourself fully into that world afterwards.
Okay, so first off, I think that the first job is that the film needs to be made, which is production. That's the first thing. So once a filmmaker successfully has done that part, the filmmaker then needs to find a path to making sure that the audience gets to see it. Now, because they can't do it alone, it's an ecosystem. They will then now look for a distributor, which is where Filmon comes in. And there are often times where we don't even wait for the filmmakers to make the film completely. We reach out to them. So there's the conversation. It can be a two-way conversation. It can be a three-way conversation. Somebody can also prompt the distributor to say, oh, my friend is making a film and I think you should check it out. So there's that entire conversation that happens behind the scenes. And then fast forward, the film gets to the distributor. The distributor now has to watch this film to then immerse themselves into where the product or the producer is coming from so that you can be in line with the person. Now, when you watch the film, it then speaks to what is the next thing for this film. So are we going to the cinemas or are we not? And if we're going to the cinemas, what's the best dates? And that's where positioning comes in. So you need to have like a dating strategy. You have to look at the release schedule, what's releasing around this period. Can this film succeed in this period? And if it can, what are the things that can be done to ensure that there is success? Once that is sorted, then it now becomes a strategy of how do we make an announcement? How do we get people excited as we are? And depending on what the financial budget is, you can decide to make it a 360 approach where you're getting all pillars of communication. This can be traditional media, this can be digital media, this can be a PR company, this can be through trailers, promotional assets. This can also be with the actors itself. So it depends on the financial availability of funding. That's the first thing that now guides on how you want this campaign to be. And once that is agreed with, it's also in conversations like that that you know if you want to have a premiere, because premiere is a marketing tool. Premiere does not necessarily mean that you just want to throw a party and gather everyone to come to the cinema. It is an act of listening to what the audience has to say. It's a first training with a major audience. So you want to see if it is not in your head that you think you have a good film. You can even if in a room of 100 people, for instance, 80 people are going to lie to you because they are your friends. You still have like 20 people who would either walk out of the screen or would not give you an honest review or would give you a review. But you can tell from the menu of how the film starts and how it ends. You can tell if people enjoyed the film. You can also tell if you are aiming into success or not. And then there are often times where you can't even tell because everybody's excited and everybody comes to the premiere with their bougie clothes. Everybody's having fun and everybody just seems happy. And then you now think that you have the best products. Now, in conversations like that, you then need to speak to the cinema representatives because these are the people who are going to now position this film in their scheduling. So you want to have honest conversation with the cinema reps that came to the premiere to say, okay, I know that everybody's excited, but what do you think about the film? The cinemas are not going to lie to you. They'll tell you because they are there to make money. It's a money game. So if they don't feel good about the film or they don't feel strong about it, they're going to actually tell you on the spot to say, we will come on board with this film. However, I think there is a stronger film. So they can even tell you what it is that your friends are afraid to tell you, and that can be a guide. So the premiere is just one tool when it comes to marketing, but the most part of it is the procedure of getting the films to cinema. It's the procedure of launching the poster, the trailer. What are we doing? How do we amplify? Are we getting a third party to make this thing look bigger than life? Are we also just putting out assets, or we're going to be looking at skits when you're promoting? So it's an entire conversation with, we have tried this with ABC. And for every film that goes to the cinema, there has to be a comparative title. So there's something you're comparing the film to. You have to be able to say, oh, this film reminds me of this. And that particular film made XYZ. So if that's a comp title, then that can be a step to what this film would make in cinemas. Then you also need to look at who is the maker of the film, the producer, the production company. What have they done? What is the track record? Have they been successful at the box office? And if yes, that can be a factor. Then you look at the actors as well, because you have to be able to use everything you have to sell. You have to look at the actors. What is their strength in terms of following, in terms of engagement, in terms of call to action? You can have popular people in a film and the film will not perform well. Many factors will go into it. It can be that the story itself is not good. It can also be that there's a landscape problem where there are other good stories releasing at the time. So there's a struggle for showtime. There's also a struggle for acceptability in some locations. So for instance, I have a Yoruba film and I don't expect that film to do well in the East. It's great, like automatically I have to focus in the Southwest. So my promotions would tilt towards Southwest because I know that's where my numbers are coming from. This does not mean you shouldn't market in the East. You market, but you would not be investing where you know the money is not going to come from. So there are so much that you need to sit down and do as a distributor with your producer. And there has to be honest conversations at some point. So even when people are in their feelings about, I have the best product, as a distributor, sometimes you have to tell them the truth to say, yes, this film is not a bad film. However, it's not as commercial as you want it to be, or these are the limiting factor. And then once you identify that, you now look for solutions, because you can't just be giving people bad news all the time to say it's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, without giving them what they can do to salvage it. And then you also need industry support. There's something about you saying, so a woman births a child, but the entire village trains the child. That's how you treat a film. So you cannot, as a filmmaker, not support others and expect people to support you when you have your film. You don't go to events, you don't post for people, you don't do meet and greets for your colleagues, you don't keep that type of relationship going. And you don't even get them to see the film. Like when you're having your events, you don't invite them. You're only inviting your friends. When it's time, maybe you should get your friends to sell the film for you, because our market currently reacts to actor, producer, celebrity content. Like it is and it doesn't mean that they are the best storytellers. It just means that the market is reacting to them because of there's the entire fan thing, there's an entire engagement on their page, and there's also an entire I believe that you are the best. Now, if you haven't created that platform for yourself as a new and upcoming filmmaker, what you need to do is, before you make a film, you need to start getting involved with the industry, understand how it works, ask a lot of questions, try as much as possible to see how you can go for events, talk to people. That's how you get into the circle, because you cannot just one day wake up and be in the circle of Funke Akindele. It's not possible, especially as an upcoming. You cannot get there. You will grow. So it just means that with your niche, try as much as possible to get your niche a part of you. You have to build a community. You can't do it alone. Once you're able to do that, then you have to then integrate into the sector. But for some people, they don't need to pay you for you to post about their films. Support people, because you don't know who is looking at your page. You're not sure who is going to help you when you're ready. So it is rub your back, I rub my back. That's how it works. And then you then see it translating into success. So most times, upcoming filmmakers will come to Film One and say, you're always distributing the popular people's film. You're funding the popular filmmakers' film. Nobody is looking at us. I have the best stories. I have this, I have that. I will come back there to say, yes, it's a business. It's not a charity organization. As much as possible, you want to find new talent, but you want to balance the books. So one of the things we try to do is, in each quarter, we look for those low-hanging fruits. They could be producers who haven't done it before, but you give them the room. And it has to be that there's something that is driving that decision. It can be the story. It may not be the actors now. It can be the story. It can be that the story is good enough. However, the positioning of it is where the distributor will try to give you that leeway to say, okay, I will put you on the big screen, but you have to do the work in terms of giving me assets. You have to be able to cut a lot from your film. Some people say, I don't want to tell the story. I don't want to give spoilers. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. When you keep all that information to yourself as a newbie, how do people know what the film is about? They don't know. So you are allowing them make a decision from the poster alone. They look at the poster, they don't see popular faces. They say, oh, I'm not going to watch this one. So you have to support it. If your poster do not have the popular people, maybe I can come from an angle of, I cut my teaser, giving you a cliffhanger. So you know how you watch a teaser and you be like, what's about to happen? So something like that can help. It can also be from, in fact, these days things have changed. Content is contenting. People are using cards to market a film. Like you would laugh at it, but it's selling. So probably you could also look at the success stories and see what they have done and replicate it. There's nothing bad in copying. Let me just say, because everybody has copied at some point. We Nollywood, we have learned from Bollywood, and Hollywood has learned from Nollywood, especially when they come to say they want to tell African stories like Woman King, Wakanda Forever. It is that they are seeing what is going on in Africa, and we have like rich stories, and they want to be a part of it. So that's why they are coming to say, oh, how can I tell this story? But this time around, I elevate the story and position it globally. So everybody is learning from each other. So don't be afraid to copy as much as possible. Copy and take feedbacks, and then you see it working for you. So it's an entire strategy, and there's a business to film. So your distributor is there to tell you how you should go about it, and hopefully you listen to your distributor. So yeah, I think that's my sum. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Victoria. You've given us a full template for marketing your film. You said so much, however, but for the newbies, perhaps we may have some in the audience here. Let me turn to Tofumi to enumerate those different things. So let's take it stage by stage. How do we go about planning a film marketing campaign? I don't know if you can put what Victoria has said into point by point. So I want to start. I have a film in mind, and I know that at some point I'm going to market it. When do I start? Where do I start? How do I start? And how do I go on? What are the components? Victoria has said everything really, but just to enumerate now what those components are.
Okay. I think one of the very important part of marketing your film is, first of all, to understand the genre of your film. We have different movies with different genre, and then the genre can also help to determine your target audience. So once you also get your target audience right, then it's easier for you to then sort of position your marketing strategy in a way that it fits that target audience. I will still make examples of some popular movies and then still narrow it down to independent movie producers, and because I've worked with a few of them as well. So most times people come out, I think, and just reduce some movies to just dancing, some marketing strategies to just dancing. For example, there's been a lot of conversation around Funke's movie. It's just been about dancing. I'm like, no, you guys do not. It's either you guys have not been keeping up, or maybe that's the only part that you have concentrated on. Funke, through a content marketing, has used different content pillars, different content formats. When the pre-release stage is a different strategy, the sustenance phase is a different strategy on its own. And the genre of the movies also, you know, you also will begin to see different strategies for the different genre of the movie she puts out. For example, when she put out A Tribe Called Judah, we saw in her content strategy a lot of the things that they were doing were around togetherness, family, community. Even when they were dancing, you saw that beautiful family bond in the way she told the story even before the movie came out. So we could have like a glimpse of what to expect, that okay, this is a family centric movie, right? And when we watched the movie, we saw that, oh, okay, this made sense. It did tally even before the movie was produced. For other films like Everybody Loves Jennifer, we saw that there was another different strategy to our content pillars and our content format. So you can dance all you want. Content scheduling is different from content strategy. You can have a content calendar, it does not mean it's a strategy. A strategy takes into cognizance the target audience. A strategy takes into cognizance what it is trying to communicate within the market, right? So it's important that at the very basic, you understand the genre of the movie. When you know the genre of your movie, you're able to then understand your target audience. So let's say you know your target audience, maybe for a family centric movie, you know you're speaking to, family. Maybe for love, for example, when DME did All Is Fair in Love, DME did not have to dance to promote All Is Fair in Love. What he did was a Reese challenge and other content around Valentine's and around love. So when you understand what your story is hinged on, it's easier for you to understand your target audience. Then it's easier for you to map out your content strategy in a way that it resonates with this particular target audience. So when we leave that stage, the next thing is to then take your you can then identify partners, for example. I mean, you have to be smart, especially for independent producers who do not have the large budget. If you have a good story, you have a beautiful genre, you can begin to pitch to, especially to niche media platforms like Nollywood, like Shokenji. Again, for example, maybe you made a movie that is about women, you then begin to think of platforms like Bella Niger and other women-centric platforms. You can pitch to them, this is what my story is about. I think you will find it interesting. And you may just be lucky enough to get them, on board, right? And then again, the two ways to go about it. There's a paid media, there's earned media. If your story is good enough, even has a producer who isn't so popular, you can still gain you can still gain some attention from some of these media platforms who think that your story really works with their audience. So maybe you've been able to gain those partnerships, maybe with a Nollywood, a Shokenji, maybe you're able to do like a producer's interview with them, producers interview with them, and all of that. You've secured your partnership. Then, just like Victoria said, your trailer is very, very important because it sort of it gives like snippets of the story that you're trying to tell, and people can anticipate. It just builds a lot of anticipation around the movie. You cut your trailers nicely and you put them on both mass media platforms and niche platforms. The big blogs like the Insta blog Niger, the Bella Niger, Olori Supergirl, and the rest of them. The mass media, Tunde Ednot, mass media platforms. You also want to look at some niche media platforms who tell, Nollywood stories. So you're able to, reach the direct audience as well. So when you have your trailer distributed, you now want to then begin to have your cast and crew, begin to unveil your cast and crew. I mean, I've worked with some independent producers who the producers themselves were not popular, but they had popular cast and crew, right? For example, The Mask King, the producer wasn't a popular producer, but he had great cast. He had Shafi Bello, he had Daniel Etim, he had all of these guys, and he tried to milk them as much as he could. Before the release of the movie, there were cast reviews, there were games with the cast and crew, and all of these things were further amplified on digital media as well. And then again, just like Victoria also mentioned, the premiere stage as well. You now want to, because premieres can be very expensive as well. So you also maybe want to, or instead of a big premiere, why not have a private screening with the cultural custodians, with, what's it called? People who can give you feedback, the stakeholders. So instead of having a big premiere, you can just have a private screenings with, the stakeholders within Nollywood, invite them, a few media platforms, invite them, and just amplify it on social media. You also get like a feedback, from that session. So you don't have to spend so much money on premiere if you don't have the money. You can, just do your private screenings, take pictures and videos from the private screenings, and just amplify it. Another thing that I think independent producers who don't have a much marketing budget can do, again, is to also large on your micro and nano influencers, right? So when the movie is house is showing on cinemas, this guy's just charged about 150, 200K. Work with a few of them, let them go see the movie, let them give reviews, beautiful reviews about the movie. Take all of these things are your marketing assets. Take all of these marketing assets, amplify them on social media as well. You may not make as much mileage as the big guys, right? But at least you would, still have a bit of the market share as well. So once those, like the micros, can do that for you, and then you can still sustain the conversations through Twitter influencers as well. You can sustain the conversations with these micro influencers, and then you can also continue to sustain these conversations with your cast and crew as well. I think what is just really important for independent producers, and I keep saying it, and just like what Victoria also mentioned, and what I see from them is that once they release a movie, they just disappear. You don't see them again until the next time they're about to release another movie. And it doesn't make any sense, because you have to build a brand. And honestly, what is going on in Nollywood is not peculiar to just Nollywood, right? The fact is that in other industries, you have Rihanna, you have Kim Kardashian, they have a big, huge personal brand. And because of their huge personal brand, it also translates into success when they, bring when they introduce their own brands and products and services. They do well because they've built a huge following, they've built a huge fan base. So whatever they sell, it would translate into the numbers and into success. So whatever is happening in Nollywood is not just peculiar to Nollywood in terms of the star power, in terms of producers using their numbers and their fan base, to impact on the success of their movie. So it means that producers need to wake up and also begin to build a brand and be known for something. It's very important. Everybody, most of the popular producers that we know right now, they built that franchise loyalty over a period of time. If I think of Funkakide, for example, I think edutainment and movies most times are usually a mix of entertainment and education. If I think of Kone Afolayo, I think Yoruba mythology. So a lot of these producers have actually built a brand for themselves. When you think about them, you know what to expect. And again, at a time where people are spoiled with choice, what would make me want to spend my hard-earned money to go to the cinema when I could just sit down at home and stream? The only reason why I would want to go is because you have earned my trust over a period of time. You've built a brand. So in cinemas, you have intentional audience going to the cinemas. If you're taking your movies to the cinema, you know that as a producer, you need to begin to take yourself seriously. You need to begin to position yourself as a leader within that industry.
Thank you so much, Tofumi. Now, you said something about budget. Victoria, also, when you were talking, you also said something about budget. And I have a question from Anthony in the chat box. He echoes something I was about to ask myself. And he actually asked two questions, but both of them are related to the budget. He says, from a distributor, sorry, Victoria, you have your hand up. Did you want to say something?
So just ignore. I'm trying to, I basically have my eating onto devices, and I'm just trying to try a lot of things. I don't know what's wrong with my
Oh,
device.
okay,
So
no troubles, no troubles. But we can see you and you hear you fine with this one, yeah? So don't worry so much. We can see and hear you fine with the one that's on now. Okay, so now, like I said, both of you spoke about budgeting. And from all that you have said, it's key that in planning one's film, one has to already plan a budget for the marketing, which I think many people have pointed out that a good number of our filmmakers fail to plan. When they're preparing a budget, they don't always think about the marketing until the end, by which time it's a bit too late. Okay, but now Anthony is asking here that from a distributor's perspective, what marketing budgets tell you a film is ready for wide release versus limited rollout? And he goes on to add, what is a realistic percentage of the total production budget that should be allocated to marketing in today's Nollywood landscape? For example, for a 100 million naira film, how much should go to marketing? And how does this split differ between low budget, under 10 to 20 million naira, and high budget, 50 million naira plus projects?
Okay. So I think that the answer to this question is a bit, I'll be direct with the answer. If you, in our today's markets, because of the cost of production, everything has gone up. A 10 to 20 million film does not have a business at the cinema. Why? Because it wouldn't have what it is to be called a big screen type of film. In terms of the scaling, in terms of the actors, in terms of the camera angles, even just the post-production of it, it's going to, like, you would see a 10 to 20 million film and you will see the lapses. Now, when you have a film like that, it just discourages your audience from watching the film because everybody would think that it's a low budget film. You should put the film on YouTube. You shouldn't come to the cinema. That alone in itself already is a bottleneck. Now, increase the budget to 50 million. 50 million in our current day is a very small budget. However, if you are an actor producer, meaning that you are the actor, you are the producer, you're able to cover. So you're not actually spending money in cash, you're spending in kind because that money is not being. So how do I put this? Now in the budget, for instance, you wanted to pay the producer, the director, and the lead actor 10 million, for instance. Now, if you happen to be that person, you are not going to pay yourself because the money is not available. So 10 million subtracted by the budget has worked because that's in kind or that's in, it's coming back to you. Now, if you own the IP, there's a cost for IP as well. If you own the IP, that cost comes to you as well. So it is not in cash. You're not paying for it. Now, good and you are a script writer. You wrote the film yourself. That money again comes back to you. So where you would have been paying for certain things, you are not paying for it. It's reducing your budgets. Now, you wanted to film. You need a location. Most times you're not able to get free location, so you have to pay for that. Now you need support actors because you don't want to shoot it. The film is not a one-man film, so you're going to have to pay for that. Feeding in itself is expensive, and if you're going to film, you have to feed people, including your cast and your crew. And don't get me wrong, sometimes if casts do not feel appreciated on a set, they give you that vibe after you're done. So feeding these days is not expensive, so that will take the bulk of your money. Now, post-production, lights, sound, cinematographer, and sometimes you have to be careful with doing everything yourself. When you do everything yourself, there are certain things that you will not see. So, and you'll be too stretched on sets. A lot of things happens on sets, a whole lot. So you don't want to wear the hat of a producer, and you don't have an associate producer, or you don't have a line producer. Even if you're going to be the producer, you need to have somebody around you that can do the day-to-day run around, that can call some shots, especially when you are the lead actor. So these are ways to be able to cut a budget. Realistically, depending on the type of film you're doing, if you're doing a film in a one location type of thing and you're able to cut on cash, your realistic budget is somewhere around 70 million. Because you want to scale it up, you want it to look good. You want to be able to color grade it based on what you are telling. If your genre is love, you want your film to look like love. You don't want to be telling a love story, and the picture of the film is looking like a street film, or the picture of the film is giving you vintage when your love story is like modern day. So you have to be able to play with the theme of the film. You also want to look at the colors. You want to look at costume. All these things are expensive. So now, if as a filmmaker, you were able to put 70 million and you have made a film for 70 million, now you're looking for marketing budgets. The standard marketing budget that just has, this does not have premiere. So this is just your print costs, which is DCP, because you have to be able to send the film in a format that speaks to the cinema. So your format distribution, film transportation, and then your in-cinema publicity. That is somewhere around together, somewhere around 4 million. You haven't done digital. This is just the basic. It's about 4 million. Now, when you add digital to it, because minus your actors, you still want it to have a wider reach. So you're looking at third-party blogs like Pulse, Bella, and the likes. You still have to now find a 2 million naira somewhere because you are managing budgets. Now, of that 2 million, you have to break it down to say, when I am posting the poster, probably I will spend 500k. When I am posting the trailer, I will spend another 500k. When I'm now posting the maybe now showing or a short clip, another 500k. So you have to be able to manage that 2 million on the basis that you have actors that will post for you, and you have some relationships that you can sweat, which is you're not paying for that. So you have a friend here, you have a brother here, you have a cousin here, you have a partner here. All that thing helps. That is, so you have 4 million, you have your 2 million, that's already 6 million. Now, because you still want this film to have some sort of leeway, you want to do a press screening. You want to do a press screening, and it can be a very small niche, a group of 30 people, 40 people. Now, the press guys are not going to come for free. You need to give them something, logistics. Some people will ask you for a fee, depending on the press guys that you're trying to engage. You need a budget for that as well. Another close to 2 million naira is waiting for you there. You want to be conservative enough. You want to manage your budget. You say 1 million naira. Now, the space that you would use to have this screening, you need to pay for the space. So you are depending on the size of the capacity, you need to pay that funding. Now, when people come to your screening, they will eat popcorn and drink, or you give them cocktail. There is that cost. There's also the cost of, it needs to be seen, a videographer or a photographer. You pay for that as well. Then you want to be, because you still need to have a backdrop. You can't just gather people like that and there's nothing that speaks to the film. There needs to be a backdrop somewhere. So for you to have that sort of event, because the press guys, imagine we were using a minimalistic budget, like we're basically going to go to the lowest of the low, and you are paying for everything in this case. Now, we already have established 4 million in cinema and print, 2 million for digital, that's 6 million. We are going to 10 million. Now, another 2 million will now speak to your press events. The press events, whatever you want to do, that's another 2 million, which that money is that you are squeezing, and that 2 million is there. Now you are left with a 2 million. This 2 million, you need to also be able to have money for sustenance. When the film gets to the cinema or it gets to the platform, you need to be able to do reviews. You need to get a few nano influencers. They don't need to be the big ones. People that would watch and create content. Oh, I watched this film and it was incredible. I got this film and it was this and it was that. Join me to watch the film. You know, all those things that people do with their phones and content and all that. You need to get a few number of people to do that. And that can be your sustenance in the opening weekend. You also would need some meet and greets. Now, some of your actors will ask you for logistics fee. They need transportation to get to the cinema. Or they need tickets. They need to buy tickets to give fans. Maybe they want to give out 10 tickets, 5 tickets. The first 5 people to meet me at the cinema gets a free ticket. And also you need to have that money sitting down somewhere. Some people even want to say, oh, when you come to the cinema, you get a branded merch. A branded shirt is waiting for you. That cost has to be there. So it is now the scale of it that makes everybody feel that you have to spend according to how people are spending. No, you just need to be upfront with your distributor. This is the budget I have. How do we make it work? Your distributor will tell you, okay, based off your budget, let us try to work with your budget. But when you don't have the marketing fundings at all, then that's when there's a problem, because it will just be a plug and play. You put the film in a cinema and you leave the film there. There's really nothing. Nothing will happen. It will just be people who maybe they heard about it from their friends, or they heard about it from you, or they walked into the cinema at the time and they say what's showing, and they cannot wait for the next one. They just watch it and they leave. Now, they don't owe you anything to talk about the film, except if they really enjoyed it. Some people can tweet about it. Some people can even tell a friend, and all that. So you see some random posts they were not paid for. Why? Because they enjoyed the film. Then you also have the feedback when you don't enjoy the film. Some people will make a post, I just saw a nonsense. I just wasted 2 hours of my life. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. And also, it can go both ways. The reviews can be positive and it can be negative. However, I would say you need to have a budget of 10 million, so that this way you are touching on everything in bits. It can be better, remember, and there's no premiere with this budget, but it is that you're able to cover one or two things that you can do. And in places like Ibadan, this thing that you have done will not get to Ibadan. All these things that you have done with 10 million will get to Ibadan. So now your question is, what do I do in Ibadan? Like, how can I get somebody in Ibadan to know about my film? Now we look for the cheapest way of publicity. It can be flyering. That's the cheapest way. It's one of the cheapest medium. Flyering. You can include that. You can also have keke branding. They put the sticker on keke. It's a moving billboard. So there are different ways to be able to maximize budget, but you just need to have the right advice. Because sometimes I think that the information sits with a few and it's not cascading. So that's where the challenge, and it's a bottleneck. So some people have the finance, but they are not advised properly. Some people don't have the finance and they still are not advised properly. Some people, maybe with the right advice, can know how to get the money. Now, upcoming filmmaker, I don't have the money. You have just said to me, where am I going to get it from? What we tell people like this is plan B, brands. Is there any small business, SME, small business that wants to be seen? They want to be seen, and they can give you a 500K somewhere. They can take care of your backdrop. You put their logos everywhere.
Right.
They have like they are not even giving you the money. You just give them the dimension. I want to do a backdrop. This is the dimension. Before they print it, they will show you the creative so that you can approve of it to say, okay, you cannot put all your logo and cover the title of the film. They print, yes, because you have to be careful with when you're looking for favors. Sometimes people over for granted, and even your film will not be seen. They will forget your logo and put their logo. So it's important that they share with you the creative. And if they think you want to eat their money, give them the dimension. Then there'll be somebody there to be there when they are mounting it, and that is taken. Now you need a carpet, a very small size carpet. Where am I going to get carpet from? Where am I going to get carpet from? Okay, you know a rental company. You can meet them. I want to rent your this, but I don't have money. If you give me, I would put your logo on my backdrop, or I will give you a space. And or when I'm posting on social media, I will say red carpet was given by XYZ. Probably one or two people will see that post and go on social media and reach out to you. That's another way to make it work. It can be small chops. I have seen web producers, they don't know anybody. They get their younger sister to fry the small chops. Instead of paying that money out, they just ask you, what and what can I buy? How many bags of flour do you need? Or how many cups of flour do you need? You are basically managing your resources. You pack your small chops, you bring it to the event. Nobody knows where it was fried from. As far as it is well packed, it is neat, people would eat it. Cocktails, we don't have money for cocktails. What can we do? We are not able to afford cocktails, but we want people to drink something. If we buy them small canned Coke, would that work? So there are many ways to make this thing work. But that you fold your hands and say you will not do it, that's where the problem lies. So you can overstretch yourself and achieve it, and you can decide not to do anything because you don't have the money. But I always advise that take that step. try it. If it doesn't work, then go and look at your story. Probably the problem is in the story. You have done all the marketing. Maybe the story itself is not great. Maybe you are too how do I put this? You're basically thinking about it is me that wants to consume the film. You're too entangled with the story that you're not separating yourself from the story. Now, I always ask people, if you were not the filmmaker, will you watch that film? Will you actually go to the cinema and buy a ticket of 5,000, 6,000 if you didn't make the film? Most times the answer is no, I will not. And you have your answer. So that is basically my answer to this person. But the bigger your budget, then the more you should create room for marketing. Yeah.
Thank you.
That,
thank you, Victoria. That was a very detailed response. But I was trying to follow your calculations, and based on the 70 million naira budget, the calculations, it turns out that one will require 10 to 14% of the budget.
Yes,
marketing.
10%.
Okay.
For a
So
budget.
yes. So will that be the same for those who have a film of 20 million, or a total budget of 20 million? Because now, even though they may not be going to the cinema, but they will still need to market. You don't just put your film on YouTube or whatever and expect that people will stumble upon it. There will always be a need for marketing, right? Regardless of whatever platform one is putting it on.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. You have a film of 20 million, 10% of that is 2 million naira, and that will speak to digital.
Right.
That will speak to sponsored post on your page. So I do a quick content and I'm dancing about, I carry my whatever I'm carrying, a branded thing. I say this film is playing on YouTube, come dance with me. Yeah, it's the same formula.
Okay.
You cannot have a 20 million film and not talk about it. Marketing is important.
Right.
So I think
in
fact, I would say that the big films do not do 10% marketing. The big films do not do 10% marketing. All that thing that you see, I didn't want to use Funke because Funke is an outlier.
Yes.
Most times conversations, I don't use Funke. She's an outlier. You out of 10 filmmakers, you only have one Funke. So I don't like to use Funke. I'm going to stay on an average filmmaker. Now, who is an average filmmaker in our markets today? I'll say I would put it on maybe Kayode Kasum. Kayode Kasum is an average filmmaker. He's done films that have made 30 million. He's done films that have made 100 million. In fact, Kayode's breakthrough film that finally got him to pass the 100 million mark was Ajoshepo the last 2 years after making multiple films. Now, he has done it on different levels. He's never got 100 million. The moment he decided to partner with a Timini and a Bolaji Ogunmola to make Ajoshepo, he broke that, like it became a success story. So sometimes it is the partnership of things, collaboration of things. Maybe you shouldn't do it alone. When you do it with somebody, it takes away the risk of how do I pay back my investors? Because everybody's going to bring in their A game. Nobody wants to just put money in something and allow it flop. So they basically they would have to do what they have to do. I can also point out, because I know Tofumi spoke about Ginger. Before the Ginger movie, Bolaji Ogunmola did a film called Summer Rain. And I think that film grossed about 70 or 60 million. That was her first time. She came back. She didn't do it alone. She did it with Kiki, Wumitoriola, Bisola. And that's 4 of them. 4 powerhouse coming together. And the film grossed over a 500 million mark in box office. Wumitoriola, she has done Queen Latifah 2 years ago. She released that in September. I think she grossed over, if I remember correctly, that film grossed about maybe 200.
200, yeah.
Exactly, in cinemas. But when she was coming back, she didn't come alone. She partnered with somebody. Bisola has done something with introducing the Kujus with Temple Films. Then Winnie Okapi used to be with Temple. She did introducing the Kujus. She produced that. The film grossed, I think, close to 50 million, and Don Jazzy was in that film. You would expect that because Don Jazzy is in the film would sell. So I say this because you need to keep doing this to get it right. You cannot just do one and think that
that one is your trademark success. Some people are lucky. Some people are actually lucky. Don't get me wrong. The people can make one film, and that one film changes the entire structure of how they tell movies or how they tell films. Right. Building still one success story. You wouldn't counter as your highest grossing producers or storyteller, but you counter as somebody that tells good stories, someone who is able to assemble people together, someone who, if an investor came to me to say, oh, I want to tell a film, who do you want to work with? I would point to Building Story, because I know that she can manage budgets. I know that she would give me a film. I know she would give me a good story. So sometimes it can be with you trying to work together. It just helps reduce certain things, because I may have a contact with somebody. It can be Costard. Costard is willing to give me 1 million naira. I will bring that 1 million. Another person may know a water company who says, okay, I don't have money to give you, but I will give you water. You bring water on set, people drink water. At least you are striking that off your budget.
Right.
Because there's no set that does not need water. Everybody needs water. So somebody gives you water, you strike that off. So I think that there are ways to look at these things, but most times collaborations just solves the entire problem. And my last example will be Film One Studios. We do a lot of collaborations, and we are Film One. We can as well say, because we are the market leader, let us just be producing films. Let's just be producing film. But no, you have to balance the books. We have only done 2 originals. The first one we did is called Adire. We did that 3 or 4 years ago. And then we did Farmer's Bride last year. Those are the only 2 originals we've done. But every other co-production that we have done, we did it with partners. This way, sometimes we can be the IP owner. Like right now, we have a film in cinemas called Abba Blues. The director is a staff of Film One. The story came in from Film One. The producer is a staff of Film One. So sometimes you can make that call. But in terms of the investment, it makes sense to partner with somebody so that you are sharing the risk. Like, I think that's my 2 cents when it comes to marketing.
Thank you. That's more than 2 cents, Victoria. We should be counting that much higher. Great, thank you so much. But I think I will stick with at least a basic thing here, that for any budget, you should, as a barest minimum, 10% of that budget should be targeted for marketing.
Yes.
At the barest minimum. Of course, if you have a larger budget, then certainly that should go up. But provision should always be made for marketing. Great. Yes. Let me turn to, because based on what yourself and Tofumi have said, it gives me very much the impression that it's not something that any filmmaker should want to do alone. I'm talking now of the planning, of deciding what to do. Okay, so I hope we've not lost Tofumi. Let me ask her this question: that how should a person who is trying to plan his or her budget go about finding someone who will take charge of all of this marketing process? Because that, I guess, would be the ideal thing to do. Oh dear, looks like we have lost Tofumi here. I don't see her. Well, I'm sorry, Victoria, but I'll have to come back to you now with that question. Okay. So somebody who is planning to do a film, and of course, this decision should come much early in the business. Are there people who one can turn to as marketing experts to say, well, advise me, apart from the distributors, because the distributor, I'm sure, will ask you, what is your marketing plan? Even though they will help. I know that in previous editions that we've had, speaking to distributors, they say, well, when a filmmaker is about to start a film, we like that he or she comes to talk to us before they start so that we can advise. Okay, but now for the nitty gritty, are there experts that the filmmaker can turn to say, well, guide me in this process? Which of course is an additional expense, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would say yes, there are people. But because the industry is still very much, I would say growing, it's a growing industry. Some of those people sit in pockets as individuals, and some of them sit in different parastatals. You'll mostly find them as PR agencies. like as PR companies most times. And most times they would advise you, but it all boils down to budgets. But when you find individuals who already understand film business, it is sometimes advisable that you speak to people who have played in the space, because they can advise you based on experience, and they can also point you towards the right direction. And if I was going to leave my company tomorrow for any reason, I wanted to do a business of myself, I would stick to film marketing. Why? Because I have worked with film for close to 10 years, and I've seen transformation happen with marketing. I have seen a film from nowhere blow out, and I've seen films with all the marketing fail. Like it's failed so much that you're asking yourself, all this money went down the drainage. So I've seen different type of things, but one thing that is common with everything that I've seen is that sometimes you need to look at your content and know if that marketing is right for you. You can't just spend in hindsight. Like you cannot just spend because you have the money, and you cannot shy away from spending. So I think that there are people, and they exist in different pockets as individuals. Some people have been distributors for maybe in the last 5-6 years, and right now they don't work as distributors, but they still give advisory. You can also find some of these people in PR companies. So they basically run ads for people. They have a niche, and there's sometimes you can find them with agencies, marketing agencies.
Right.
Sometimes marketing agencies can be expensive because they have a distribution or a percentage fee, which is off your budget. So sometimes they give you a broad marketing, but they're not speaking to film. Film is very
Right.
niche because our audience is growing. So I always advise, if you're going to talk to a marketing agency, ensure that it is a marketing agency that has sold film before, not FMCG. Because an FMCG marketing agency would tell you that you need to position or do an advert for a product. Now, bear in mind that that product is going to be on sale for 2 years. It's the same product. The difference is that the product has a shelf life of 3 to 4 years, which means that when you produce it today, the products will then expire in the next 3 or 4 years. So if I do one ad for it, I can continue to use that ad for life. I can wake up one day and decide to sponsor the ad. But for film has a window space.
Right.
Starting from cinema or YouTube. If you put a movie on YouTube for 3 months, after that 3 months, you can see that people have moved on to something else, because there are different films that are being produced daily. So you cannot compare a film to a blue band. A blue band would be eating every day as far as it is in the store. But a film has shelf life as well. It has, and most times people make their money between 5 years of production for a film. So if you treat your film as you treat blue band, then that may not be a good strategy for you, because blue band can decide to market every quarter. But for a film, you don't have that luxury of every quarter. You have to load your marketing according to the release period. So if your film is releasing in 2 months' time, it means that depending on the budget you have to do all the madness in 1 month, in 2 weeks, in 1 week, in 3 days, depending on your budget. And after that, when you now have another sale somewhere, maybe the film goes to Netflix, or it goes to Cover, or it goes to Circuit, you do another one again in pockets. But a blue band would do one billboard. 10 years later, that blue band is still there.
Okay. Yes.
So when you're speaking to marketing agencies, you have to be careful and speak to people that understand film, so that when they're advising you about budgets, they know the constraints with budgets, and then they can give you a budget that is, or a costing that is flexible, where you can cherry pick and say, okay, I want Pulse, I don't want Bella Niger. I want Sunday Ednot, I don't want Instablow. You need to be able to work with people like that, and they would advise you, but they need to have done films. So if anybody asks me, who are the people I can speak to, I will tell you, talk to PR companies that solely sell films. Don't talk to marketing agencies. Marketing agencies will tell you the broad conversation of marketing. Why? Because they are treating you as an FMCG. Unfortunately, you are not an FMCG. Your content has a shelf life of your window of release. So you have to front load your marketing. Sometimes if your budget is 10 million, you have to finish that 10 million that period, because after 4 or 5 weeks, you're out of the cinema. What do you do with the film? So that's the feedback. Yes, individuals talk to people who are in the space, people who have made films, people who have succeeded, people who have failed. Speak to them, DM people. Don't be afraid to DM people. DM people and work with PR agencies that have sold films for the rest of their lives. They exist in pockets. They exist. Their job is, how can I make Nollywood better? They exist. Yeah, so that's my response.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tufumi, we lost you for a moment. Now that you're back, I know network. Sorry, you're muted.
I'm so sorry. I don't control power. It's like there's a centralized control. So once they take power, they switch over to Jen, and all of those interference. I'm so sorry, please.
No trouble, no trouble. We're in the same country, we understand. Now, let me throw you a question from Anthony.
Okay.
Anthony's asking, how can Nollywood producers effectively extend the film's marketing campaign beyond its cinema debut to sustain audience turnout and maximize box office performance throughout the theatrical run? Okay. We've seen inspiring examples this year, such as Timini Egbusun's and the cast of Love and New Notes, who continued visiting cinema locations weeks after release to personally cheer on and interact with audiences. Similarly, international strategies like those used for Marty Supreme, where lead actors surprised fans at screenings, created buzz and encouraged repeat viewings. How can Nollywood producers and teams systematically replicate and scale these post-debut activation strategies? I think this speaks to what you said already about sustaining.
Sustenance, yeah.
Sustenance, right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've worked with independent producers and we've collaborated in the past with Film Cinemas for the big movies. And when independent producers come to us, I usually tell them, you don't have the budget for that sustenance for a long time. Not only do you not have the budget, you don't have the leverage, right? Big movies that have big producers and have great relationships with the ecosystem are able to sustain movie promotions for a very long time. Again, they also have the budget for it. So if I'm working with an independent producer, most time I tell them, let's stretch your budget for about 4 to 8 weeks. People like Funke Akindele have been able to, she's been marketing BTS since December. And we're in March. She marketed from December to about February. That's 3 months. That's hard, to do, right? So you need to have the leverage within your stakeholders in terms of your cast and crew. You mentioned Timini. Timini has a leverage. It can easily talk to cast and crew and say, let's do our media rounds. Let's visit this cinema today, visit that cinema today. And you're able to stretch your marketing campaign for a longer time because you have the leverage, you have the star power, you have the social media presence. And for example, you may not even have to spend so much. While Victoria was talking the other time, I was going to make like some references from personal movies that we've worked on. So for example, Us Fair in Love, and we had the Max King. Us Fair in Love budgets that we worked with, that we were given to work with by Filmhouse Cinemas, was relatively close towards the Max King, close to Max King's budget, right? At the end of the day, Deyemi was able to make, I think at that time, over 100 million at the box office. But when I talk in terms of analytics, back end, in terms of marketing support, I think he made about 263 posts. He had 16 million reach, and he had an earned media value of 33.6 million from back end. Wow. That earned media value of 33.6 million means that an independent producer would have had to spend 33 million naira to get such analytics. But Deyemi did not spend 33.6 million. He earned that money because he had the leverage. So it's easier when you have the leverage, you have the support and all of that. You can stretch your marketing campaign. So you can say the entire 2 to 3 weeks before the release of the movie, this is what you're going to be doing. You can say, okay, during when the movie is out, you're taking another 2, 3, 4 weeks. This is what you're going to be doing. So it's easy to stretch when you have the marketing budget, you have the leverage as well. But if you don't, you will be spent, right? So it's better that you manage your expectations and you work within a short time frame. But yes, sustenance is very possible. We've had people like Funke Akindele who have been able to do that for a very long time.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Victoria, let me turn to you with a question now from Angelica. I will also come to you with this question, Tufumi. And she's asking, every filmmaker talks about the difficulties associated with funding. Some say it's even harder for women. The average female filmmaker that is not the Akindeles. Would you agree with that assertion? Why or why not? My question is, are there gendered routes to film funding? What is responsible for that?
Okay, I have my hands raised because I wanted to quickly respond to
Oh, please go ahead.
to the question on Love and New Notes.
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we currently are the distributors of that film, and I just wanted to give an insight to also what Tofumi had said. So for Love and New Notes, first of all, remember that we had, before you go into every release, you have a target. Now we have a projection for Love and New Notes, and the projection is to surpass what the last film made of Timini. It's the same production company, so it is Filmmakers Studios, Kayode Kasum Film Tribe, and Timini Ebuson, the same three people making the film. And the plan is the last one made 356. We need to surpass the target. So there's a projection. Now, when we started the release of the film, in terms of projection, it opened as estimated. The opening weekend was fantastic, and that was it. But in the following week, we saw it just went down. Typically, when a film opens with that amount, you are not supposed to drop in that format. Your droppings can't be like that. So the average drop for a film from its opening weekend is a 20% drop. But what happened to this film is that there was a 60% drop from week 1 to week 2. And that's very rare. Like it doesn't typically happen. You can see 35%, you can see a 40% drop. But when you see a 60% drop, it signals something. It's either there is a problem with the markets. And the short times are fantastic because it released in a period where it wasn't busy. It was February. So you have to now look at it. It's either there is a problem with the market, it's either there's a problem with the content. We checked the content, it wasn't the content. We checked the market. It was that there was fasting on both, I think it was Christian and Muslim. Everybody, like, this is one of the years that everybody's fasting together. That affected the footfalls of people going into the cinema. Now we have to change the strategy. Our strategy is sustenance. We know that people are not coming to the cinema because everybody is having like personal relationship with God. What do we do to people coming to the cinemas? And what do we do to people that are going to come after the fast? It is to get them engaged on social media. So the strategy was, let us continue to do content. We just need to get people engaged on social media. So Timini, I know that you don't like, because Timini, if you look at Timini's style, he's not somebody that likes to do content and dance here and there and like fresh boy, fine boy, that type of thing. You have to break out of your norm, and you have to now see Timini doing the things that he typically would not do because he knows that he's playing a long game. So the plan is to Timini, yes, you don't like all these things, but you have to do it. You already have the mileage. But it is not enough. You cannot say because you are Timini, you go and sit down and sleep, and they expect people to walk into the cinemas. It doesn't work that way. If that's the way, Funke will not be doing what she's doing. Toye Abraham will not do what she's doing. Ola will not do what she's doing. So it was a thing of getting to me to, yes, you are filming, you're doing other projects, but you still need to create content of this. So now the content was created with the actors, and the actors may not come to you. You need to go and meet the actors. That's one of the things that we need to take out from this conversation. You may need to go and look for where the actors are. If they're on set, I remember one content that came out in week 4. Timini had to go meet Uncle Odun on set and shoot that content. In fact, Uncle Odun was surprised that Timini came. So these are things that you will need to do as a filmmaker. You cannot wait for the, you say, oh, today is shooting day. We are meeting at National Theatre. You give them 3 p.m. Some of them will not show up because they have other things that they are doing. So sometimes as a filmmaker, you block them. Where are you? I'm at the gym. You go to the gym and go and shoot that content. So those are the type of things that are sustained Love and New Notes. And it is funny that as of today, Love and New Notes is still #1 film in cinema. Yesterday, Love and New Notes topped all the Nollywood films and became #1. So it is something that tells us that we are happy people as Nigerians. We like engagement. We like to have fun. There is no fun in Nigeria, but people are on social media interacting. It is our people. It's a culture thing. It's our value. We like to be happy. So I would advise that if Timini can do that for Love and New Notes, then everybody should do it. Sustenance. It has nothing to do with money. You can monetize it. Yes, you can sponsor it. But then again, you have to keep creating content. If you watch Kiki's content, she has a series she's doing with what's her name? Omo Ibadan. I've forgotten her name.
Yeah, the funny girl.
Yes. Like that thing is so enjoyable that sometimes when I'm bored, I just go to her page to see if she's dropped something. It's so enjoyable. You can create a niche for yourself. Now, Kiki is shooting that content. She knows what she's doing because the day she wants to make a film, she already has followers that will be engaged on her page. So she's sowing the seed. So we as filmmakers, we need to sow the seed. Don't wait till when you want to make a film. Start now. There is nothing like too much of content. Start now. If you know that you want to be a filmmaker in the next 2 years, start now to sow the seed. You may not have shot the film, but just start to engage your followers on socials. Start now. Now, back to the question on the gender thing when it comes to funding. I don't agree with that summation. Why? Because if you look at the statistics, we have more female filmmakers who are successful in our industry. So I don't agree with that. I think that everybody has a problem with funding. Like it's an everybody situation. Even to us as Film One, it's an everybody situation. We struggle to get funding. Now, whether you are a woman, whether you're a man, it is the same thing. The only reason why people like to attach gender to these things is that 10 years ago, men dominated the Nollywood space and women were basically just actresses. They were not producers. They were actors. In fact, the one and lasting producer we always spoke about years ago was Amaka Igwe. She was so popular and she had like the strength of a man. And then you can also talk of Mildred Okwo. These are people that started the Nollywood thing. But right now, those names have changed. Like you don't even see in 10 films, you won't find a Mildred Okwo. She does films once in a while. You now have more women in the space. You have women as cinematographer, you have women holding the lights, like women are doing beautifully well. And I would even argue that women are able to get more money than men. Why? Because it is a natural thing that a woman knows how to be subtle. And women are very so I'm not trying to sideline the men. So please, men on this call, don't be upset. It is just a natural given to women, whereby women are very subtle, women are very judicious. They know how to follow through. They know how to use all their resources to ask for favors. They know how to, if it's to use prayers, they will pray for money tonight. If it's to use beauty, like they know how to do it. They do it effortlessly well. They create content, they put themselves out there. So I don't really agree with the gender thing, but I think that women are doing so well in the space. And you can look at the numbers. The highest grossing film made by a woman. The second one, a woman. The third one, a woman. The fourth one, a woman. And then the closest one to the woman is Muyiwa Ademola. I think he has a film of 400. Yes, that's the closest one to all the women. So your top 6 are women. Then you have a Muyiwa Ademola. Then you have other women before you have a man again. So my point is that we have men in this space. We have Kunle Afolayan, we have AY in the movie space, we have Mr. Muyiwa Ademola, we have Odunlade. Exactly, Femi Adebayo. You have a couple of them doing what they have to do, but it all boils down to how you are able to market your products, how you're able to package your product to everybody to support you. You have to be seen as hungry. You have to be seen as committed. You have to be seen as, this is the farm that I have. I will farm on it. I will die on the line. If you don't have that zeal, then if you want to add it as side hustle, then it will be side hustle for you. But if you say, this is where I want to die on, my family will laugh at me, my friends will laugh at me, but in the long run, is there something there? Yes, there is. Consistency. I remember when I picked a career in film distribution, a lot of people didn't understand what I was doing there. They asked me, did you read film in school? I read history and international studies. And they were wondering what I was doing in the film space. But unfortunately, I saw that there was a business to film, and I was very much interested in it because I didn't know that there was a science to film. Then I was confused as to how is there a uniformity with films being at the cinema, everybody showing the same film, and the producers do not talk to the cinemas. So I wanted to understand, how do you see a film and say this film is going to make XYZ? Like, that's what a distributor does, sees the film and gives you a projection. Now it's there for you to take it or not, but they project. Sometimes they are 80% close, sometimes they are 10% out, depending on the film. So I think that if you want to be a filmmaker today, you need to start now. Don't wait till when you have shots. That is one mistake that people do. You want to wait till when you are popular before you just get to the process. No, I think you should start now. Start networking now. Look for people that can mentor you. And this day, social media has made everything easier. You can just DM people. You'll be surprised at who will answer you. Just DM them. What's the least that will happen? No response. You try another person. Just DM them until you get seen. So that's the feedback I would say. I don't believe in gender, but I think that women are a bit, yeah, that's it. That's my response.
Right. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Victoria. Tofumi, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think that we've moved past this whole conversation around, that certain bias around gender. And I think even outside the film industry, women are making giant strides. I remember one time I was talking to one of my clients, and there is a Lebanese man. They have like an international furniture store, and he said, "Why is it that every Nigerian business owner in Nigeria are women?" So it just shows that, I mean, women are waking up and they're becoming more bullish with their goals, and we're seeing it across every industry, and it's so beautiful to, I mean, if we're speaking about Nollywood itself, it's so beautiful to see that one of the women who has made that giant stride in the person of Funke Akindele didn't just start today, just like Victoria alluded to. She didn't just start today. She's been doing. She started from Jennifer, the days of Jennifer. So anyone and everybody has seen the success of this movie. So it's easier for an investor to say, yeah, I would drop my money. So what Funke has been doing in the past years, is what we call bootstrapping, and that's what every entrepreneur does. Who, at the beginning of your business or your career, whatever, you're bootstrapping, and you're seeing success, and gradually you're going. So Funke didn't just wake up one day. Tony Aimako didn't just wake up one day and say, I want to do movies, and I have the investment and I have the funds. These guys, these ladies have worked for decades to get to where they are right now. So I think it's going to be very unfair to reduce it to just gender, just seeing their success trajectory, which has been very public to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tofumi. Now, I have a question here from Ajike. Victoria, this will be for you because it's connected with Film One. Ajike would like to know, how can we contact Film One for distribution before shooting?
Okay. I think that we have a generic email which I will type in the chat. It is one of the emails that if you needed to make an inquiry to Film One, that email. So a couple of people receives the email. So it is not like nobody's going to respond to you. A lot of people receives the email, and it is mostly the people in charge of running Film One. So I'll drop that email on the page. You can just ask your questions, and then you'll be directed to the department that needs to respond to you. So for instance, if your question is around production, we will then direct you to the production team who would advise you. If your question is tilting around distribution, you may luckily fall under me, or you may fall under somebody. If your question is tilting on investments, you may also luckily fall under my response or somebody else. So it depends on what you want to know. But in terms of having to speak to film before a film is made, I'll drop that email, and for free, we'll give you advice. And I can also give the advice here. Before anybody makes a film, the first thing you need to do is share that story with somebody who is not making that film with you and get an honest feedback. So when I say share the story, I'm not saying you should tell the person all your dream and all, because some people are dream killers. What I'm saying is the synopsis or the tagline of the story. Share with somebody and ask the person, what do you think? The person does not have to be in your field. Let this, because sometimes you don't want to be biased. So share that synopsis with somebody and ask the person that, what do you think about a film like this? Will you watch it? And then the person's feedback would help you know whether you should progress or you shouldn't. And there are times that people will say, I will not watch it, but if it's done well, I'll watch it. So there are feedbacks like that that then helps you go back to the drawing board. So as much as possible, speak to people. Don't take investors' money without speaking, because it is difficult to recoup investments when you don't plan adequately. And also, don't invest your money that you want to, because film business takes time. Film recoupment takes time. Sometimes it takes a period of 5 years. So if you have a funding that you want to get back in the next 3 months, please don't put it in film. You will not get it in 3 months. I have to be very upfront with that. So I always advise that if you wanted to invest in film, have it at the back of your mind that this is a long-term game you are playing, so that you will recoup your money in tranches, because it doesn't come at once, it comes in tranches. So you can recoup your money in tranches, and over a period of time, you're able to get it. But if you want to get your money back, it is not from film. You want to get your money back in 6 months, it is not from film, especially if you're doing it alone. But if you're doing it with people, you can get your equity after the first window. But if you're doing it alone, you're not going to see that money in 6 months. So that's feedback I can give. I will drop the email here for you, and you can send us an email and we will respond.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, Ajike is also asking, a matter of recent debate, must we dance to market films successfully in Nigeria? I believe that is a question that has already been responded to. So let me tie it to really the basis, let's take a wider look at that. Social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and X appear to be at the forefront of Nollywood film campaigns with an emphasis on content-driven marketing, which is where the dancing fits in. But I think, like Victoria pointed out earlier, dancing is, yes, maybe for some types of films, not for every type of film. It depends on the kind of film you're marketing, and which will call for different kind of content. However, this aspect of content-driven marketing has led the Nollywood Reporter in one of its articles to question whether it is enough to create viral promotional content or whether the quality of the film still matters. Of course, yes, we all know that the quality of the film, but sometimes really, like I think also was pointed out earlier, sometimes the content is fantastic and the film, okay, doesn't quite meet the expectation. But what would you say to this one? Let me start with you, Tofumi. What would you say with respect to this point of question of whether viral promotional content should be the main thing or whether the quality of the film should be what drives. Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, I think earlier at the beginning, I had, mentioned the 4 Ps of marketing. And I'd also explained why someone like Funke is doing really well because she's been able to put all the 4 Ps together and balance them beautifully. In terms of product, good quality output in terms of our movies, our stories. She's been known over the years to tell good stories. So product, 100%. Um, Place where the distribution channel, great, fantastic. If you think about promotion, amazing as well. So she's been able to balance this act beautifully. So I think you need both words. You need to have good story and you need to have great marketing skills as well. Because we've seen or I've seen instances where people have really, really good movies, and it's not even peculiar to the movie industry. As a marketer dealing with various brands, I just see that people spend so much money in developing their products and services, and when it comes to marketing, they become very stringent. And to me, it doesn't make any sense because your budget makes the film. Your marketing determines whether people will see the film. And then we talk about culture as well, which then determines if people will talk about the film. So films that have, become successful in the past 3 years have been able to pass this different metrics in terms of quality of the movie, in terms of marketing, and in terms of culture. Because if you look at a film like Achalugo, Love, I've forgotten the name, popular Achalugo movie by the popular producer that was taken to YouTube, it did so well. Right. And I don't think it was a high budget movie, but it did so well because culture as well was at the intersection of the story that was told. So I think that it's not isolated. You need to have a good product, a good movie, and then you have to have the marketing budget, not just the budget, even the marketing skills, like Victoria said earlier, that you have to be careful as to who you're speaking to market your product, your movie for you. Because sometimes there's a mismatch. So, for example, you are like an independent producer, you don't have a big budget, and you're wasting money on billboards when all that money can be put into digital media and online strategy. So sometimes people even have the money, but there's a mismatch in how they spend the money. You understand? So I think that is for both words. There's been a lot of contention about two popular movie producers. People say, oh, one of them have good story, the other does not have good story. But we've seen that the other person recently has also improved on our storytelling, and we've seen the outcome from the improvement. So I think good story, good movie, great success trajectory over time, sustained success trajectory over time in terms of the quality of the movie that you do, and then great marketing skill set. I think both of them would work beautifully. And again, culture at the intersection of your story. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, this is going to be a last question from me, and I would like us to focus a little bit on the audience. We've already spoken, or at least both of you have mentioned in one moment or the other, the need to pay attention to the audience, okay? The aspect of determining which audience is targeted for which particular film. And of course, like we know, in any communication process, due attention must be paid to the audience when planning that communication. So what kind of audience analysis is carried out for a film marketing campaign? And what impact do the results of that analysis have on how the campaign is designed? Let me start with you, Victoria, please.
Okay, yeah, I love this question so much because you cannot thrive in an industry like ours without data and analysis. So we try as much as possible to educate our producers when they come to us, especially when you're dated. We give you raw data of what the industry or what the market is saying in terms of how are they perceiving your film and what it is that you need to do to improve. So one of the ways at which we are able to get this data is we use the cinemas because as part of our release strategy, we have something called trailer launch in the cinemas. So we have trailers being at the cinemas. We have sometimes, if you have your assets ready, you can have your standee a month to the release of the film. But Nollywood typically is late, so we'll just use the trailers or the teasers, or we would dwell on digital, and then we bring the information back to the cinema. So we have an exercise that works with the cinemas every weekend. We talk to random people at the cinemas, asking them about upcoming releases. So there's a film releasing next week called Return of Arinzo. We already have a sheet that shows the people that are expecting the film, if they've heard about the film, and how they feel about the film. So we have that data and it is mined. It now informs our decision on how we want to market. And we do this in different markets, in different locations. So there are some locations where Return of Arinzo would be like an 80% mark. And then you then have some locations where you're seeing 40%. Sometimes they will tell you they are not aware. They've never heard of the film before. It then tells you that the marketing is not getting to that location. Other times you hear something like, when you ask a question like, will you watch this film? Some people will say, I don't know. Some people will say, yes. Some people will say, I think so. So when you hear feedback like this, it then helps you to either improve your marketing or redistribute your marketing. And at the same time, you are advising the producers to say, this is a sample that was done in XYZ location. This film is not tracking like it should track. Now, the films that we have high expectations on in terms of the projections, when we look at the weekly sample that we get from the cinemas, there's something about it. Most of those films are always at 80%, 80%, 80%. Once you see them 80%, 80% across board, just know that you're going to hit your target. It means that you're doing something right. What you can do is intensify. You can double down on it. You can increase it. But when you see a market 80%, one other place 25%, then it signals something to you to say you are losing out here. How can we do this? So we do that for upcoming releases. That's one of the ways. The second thing that we do is sometimes on our post and engagement, we do the back end thing where we see who is engaging with what has been posted. So you're looking at the back end of that content that's gone out. How many people interacted with the video? What's the engagement like? How many people even, because sometimes some people can put a poll on their page to say, will you watch it or will you not watch it? So you can use all that to ascertain if you're doing something right. The last thing we do is also YouTube. We also do the YouTube version of this thing where we are checking the interaction. There's some ads you put on YouTube in less than 24 hours. We have a number of views and comments, and there are some you do not have it. So you can judge by how people receive your data. Then if you now want to take it a bit further, engage the cinemas. So the film bookers, you talk to them directly. Oh, I've just sent you a booking sheet. What do you think about this film? Because they're very honest people and they're there to make money. They won't even paint it. I just tell you straight up. This film, I don't think so. This film, I think so. Sometimes you may need to point them to the direction because sometimes the people they may not get it because the film they are not the target audience of the film. So a film booker can tell you that I don't believe in this film, but let's see how it goes. Now you have to educate them and point them to the direction of the film to say, this is what this film is about. These are the target audience. This is what we're doing for marketing. This is how we're going to help your site position the film. So this information is done behind the scenes and you're able to get that. The last one is when you go to events, random events, you always see your industry people there. You can just engage one of them and say, what do you think about this film? Some people are very upfront with you and they'll tell you, this one, I don't even understand what people are doing here, or I understand it. Or sometimes they even bring the gist to you. That I saw that your trailer, what's going on there? Who has the film? So you basically need to be out there. You need to put your ears and you need to be intentional about it to get the information. Then the last one that we do is when the film is in cinema, we do exit polling. So exit polling is we get people at the cinemas talking to customers, talking to the workers at the cinemas. Like, it's an exercise that we like to engage on, and we do it most times when you have a public holiday, because public holiday are like the most important days at the cinemas. So you want to do that sort of exit polling. You can then now bring in films that are coming in the future. For instance, I wanted to do an exit polling for Easter. I will bring a film that everybody's expecting in the mid-year, and I can try it with Hollywood titles, because Hollywood titles gives you extra, like, long time to market. So people already know the Hollywood slate. It's different from Nollywood. Nollywood is usually late. So most times, as it is, only distributors have access to information the markets do not have until we are ready to unveil that. So if I wanted to engage people during Easter, I'm going to be talking about what they know. And I'll talk to them about, oh, Spider-Man, what do you think? The trailer was launched. It had 1 billion views. What do you think about Spider-Man? I engage them, and it then helps me to double down on my positioning. I can also engage them on Moana, Avengers in December. So it's a lot for Hollywood, but for Nollywood, most times it's a bit difficult. The ones I will engage them on Nollywood is Efumri, because she has launched, and that's in May. So I can have that conversation in Easter. So I'm already prepping in advance. Now, when I have this information, I share back with the filmmakers to say we are doing something right or we are not. How do we go back to redo these things? So these are conversations that sit mostly in pockets. It's not available to the public because the public do not really need to know about it at the time of when you're cooking your soup. You don't really need to know about it. And when you're done, there is cascaded for. So basically, that's how we get started.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Would you like to add something to that, Tofumi?
Yeah, yes. I also think that the type of movie that you're doing also does impact in terms of the audience segmentation. So, for example, for movies going to cinemas, from the insights that we've gathered, we're seeing, like I had mentioned earlier, I highlighted between, I think, 2023 and 2020, how pricing, impacted the box office at that time and the success of those movies. So if we trace it back, for example, a tribe called Judah, made more sales, 1.4 billion, lesser seats, right? And higher ticketing, right? Omo Ghetto made lesser sales, more seats, lesser ticketing price. So we can see that cinema audiences are very, very intentional about the kind of movie, from what we're seeing. So it means that if you're taking the movie to the cinema, you have to be considerate of audiences or what the audiences that go to the cinema want. And that's star power, excellent story, great, plots, because I'm parting away with 6,500. So it has to be worth my time and it has to be worth the money. So if I'm making movies for cinemas, I had to have that at the back of my mind that I am making movie for an intentional audience. Now, there's also the YouTube audience, which is filled with diaspora markets, mass media, because anybody has access to Wi-Fi, right? And we have interesting statistics to that says about Nollywood channels in YouTube make about 10 million to $15 million monthly. So that's a different audience there that even producers can latch onto. Everybody does not have to take their movies to the cinemas. We're even having a rise of so many things. There are vertical movies, there are social series, short form movies. Everybody doesn't really have to go to the cinema. So the type of movie that you're creating would determine would impact on the audience segmentation. Then we go to festivals as well. That's another distribution channel for Milayo Ransom Kuti. Milayo Ransom Kuti, I think, won Best Film in Afrik before the theatrical release, right? So that's another avenue that has a different audience segmentation as well. You have Netflix as well, not taking as many Nigerian movies, but most of the movies that you now have on Netflix from Nigerian producers, you see that the story has some global resonance. So the type of movie that you want to create would impact on the audience segmentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tofumi. Well, our time is just about up. We've heard a lot already. So we have just a few minutes. If you want, what is the final word you would like to add? Let me take Victoria and then I come back to you, Tofumi. Final word. Any piece of advice or anything you think we should have talked about but we haven't mentioned? Just go ahead, Victoria.
Okay, very quickly, I think that I would just want to say, for intending filmmakers on the call, I don't think that you should be discouraged from what you want to do. I think that you should start now to engage based on the advice you've gotten, create a brand for yourself, start to work on positioning your brand, and also tend to learn more about the cinema. We have our yearbook, we write the yearbook every year. And I think that you can check on our website and read the yearbook. It will help you with the type of genres you should be thinking of investing in. It also helps you with the films that have performed, and then you can then now make your inquiry on what has made these films perform the way it has. And then lastly, if you were thinking of coming to the cinemas, then you have to put your best foot forward. What is that work that needs to be done? And if you're not doing the cinemas, if you're doing YouTube, also market your content. Not because it's YouTube, you just let it be. Market your content. And that's basically my feedback.
Thank you so much. That's the key point. Market your content regardless of whatever the platform. We always will have to work at it. Okay, Tofumi, any
Yeah,
final
I think
words?
so. Yeah, I think for me, I would say that it's very important that filmmakers begin to build a personal brand. Um, Regardless of the kind of movies that you're making, whether it's going to YouTube, it's going to festivals, or it's going to see whatever, you need to have a personal brand. You have to be visible. Social media has become a marketing department on its own. It does not provide it's not a for a support it's not a support role or a support department. It's
The number
major
one.
in whatever you're doing. So please build your personal brand. Is very important. And I think lastly for me would be that social producers, filmmakers should begin to look at other areas that haven't been fully leveraged. A lot of different formats are springing up. In fact, we're seeing brands taking on social series, brands doing episodic movies these days, So those are other places that producers can begin to own, before it becomes a thing, right? So there are vertical movies as well already springing up. There's Omeletto. Omeletto is a beautiful channel that does short movies, and it's a brilliant platform. So I think that producers need to diversify, into other type of filmmaking and platforms.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tofumi and Victoria. Unfortunately, we did not eventually have Michael with us, but okay. We have been enriched by all that both of you have told us. Thank you so much. And thanks very much to our audience. Thank you for your questions. This has been truly enlightening, I think, at least for me. Very enlightening indeed. So Victoria and Tofumi, thank you ever so much. We appreciate
Thank you.
your sharing so much with us. So, well, goodbye, everyone, and
Bye,
enjoy the
everyone.
rest of your Saturday. Okay, then.
Sure. Thank you.
All the best.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.